Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you've driven a car, bought groceries, or honestly just spent money on literally anything lately, you're feeling it, right? You are feeling a very acute pain in your wallet. Well, today we are unpacking exactly why that's happening. It turns out this isn't just about some far-off conflict. It is a massive, interconnected domino effect that is crashing right into your personal bank account. Let's dig into the data, unmask the hidden global buffers keeping things from getting way worse, and figure out how we can all navigate what comes next. Section 1, the price at the pump. Let's kick things off with those giant neon signs you drive past every single day, the most visible price tag in the entire economy. Think back to before the war started in late February 2026. The national average for regular gas was sitting at around $2.98 a gallon. Today, well, according to AAA, we're sitting at a national average of $4.11. That is a shocking 38% jump in just 8 short weeks. But as absolutely brutal as that is, it's actually not the number that should worry you the most. The real hidden cost of everything we buy comes down to diesel. Diesel has shot up nearly 50%, right up to $5.62 a gallon. Now, you might be wondering, why do I care? I don't drive an 18-wheeler. Well, because diesel literally powers our broader supply chain. Every single truck that delivers food to your grocery store, every tractor that plants that food, and even that Amazon delivery van pulling into your driveway, they all run on diesel. So when diesel goes up, the cost of literally everything you consume goes right up with it. Section 2, the Strait of Hormuz. To understand how this whole thing builds, we really have to zoom out from your local gas station to the single most dangerous choke point on planet Earth. This entire explosion in gas prices, it all comes down to one incredibly tiny waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. At its absolute narrowest, it is just 21 miles wide. That's it. Yet roughly 20% of the world's entire daily oil supply flows through that tiny gap every single day. So when the war started and Iran closed the strait, 14 million barrels of oil were just wiped off the global market overnight. The International Energy Agency is actually calling this the greatest global energy security challenge in history. Yeah, bigger even than the 1973 Arab oil embargo. But here is the kicker. It is not just an oil problem. According to the American Enterprise Institute, 30% of the world's seaborne fertilizer, 30% of global helium, and 10% of the world's aluminum passes through that exact same blocked 21-mile channel. And I want you to really think about that fertilizer number for a second, because fertilizer means food. Thanks to this disruption, food economists are warning us that your grocery bill is going to keep climbing for months, even after the war eventually ends. Why? Because the price pain for planting crops hasn't even fully hit the system yet. Which brings us to Section 3, the secret oil buffer. Because the absolute mystery right now is why things aren't actually much worse. If you've been following the news, you probably know that at the start of this conflict, experts were sounding the alarm, predicting oil would hit $150 or even $200 a barrel. Yet Brent crude, which is the global benchmark, is currently trading around $105 a barrel. I mean, sure, it's up 44%, but oil experts are calling $105 a literal miracle. So why isn't it at $200? The magic number here is 580 million. CNN Business uncovered that right before the war, the global oil market was actually oversupplied. We had a massive 580 million barrel stockpile just sitting on tankers and in warehouses around the world. So this giant storage buffer, combined with the U.S. releasing oil from its strategic petroleum reserve and getting some previously desanctioned Russian and Venezuelan oil into the mix, well, it's been acting as a giant global shock absorber. Add in some Wall Street traders betting the war will end quickly, and that whole combination has miraculously kept a lid on prices. But, and this is a big but, here's the danger perfectly summarized by Joe Bruce, the chief economist at RSM US. He said, time is not the ally of the American economy. You see, that 580 million barrel protective buffer, it is rapidly running out. If this blockade in the Strait of Hormuz drags on through the summer, our shock absorber completely vanishes. And the economics of all this are going to get dramatically worse. Section 4, the Federal Reserve Trap. Let's bring this right back to your wallet and see exactly why the folks in charge of our economy are completely paralyzed. We are already seeing the cracks form. The Consumer Price Index hit 3.3% in March, and that was driven almost entirely by energy costs. Because of this, consumer sentiment has slumped to its lowest level since 1978. Now, why does it matter how people feel? Well,
Because roughly 70 cents of every single dollar of US GDP comes directly from consumer spending. Surging gas and grocery prices make Americans feel poorer, so we spend less. And when Americans stop spending, the whole economy just grinds to a halt.
Now, normally, when the economy slows down, the Federal Reserve swoops in and cuts interest rates to stimulate growth, right? They make mortgages and car loans cheaper. But right now, they are trapped in a nightmare scenario called stagflation. Because this inflation is being caused by a war and a physical supply blockade, not by a booming, overheating economy. Prices are going up while growth is actually slowing down. So the Fed literally cannot cut interest rates because inflation is simply too high. Rate relief is not coming to save the day anytime soon, and that leaves us stuck in a very 1970s-style trap.
And that leads us to a pretty terrifying economic term that the IEA is warning us about right now: demand destruction. This isn't just about, temporarily deciding to skip a night out at a restaurant to save a few bucks. No, demand destruction is when prices stay so incredibly high for so long that consumers permanently change their behavior. They don't just cut back for a bit, they stop buying entirely.
Here is how this tragic domino effect actually plays out in real time. Step 1. You cut back on discretionary spending, so no family vacation, holding off on buying new clothes. Step 2. Those sky-high diesel and fertilizer prices finally hit, making groceries insanely expensive. Step 3. The Fed has to hold rates high to fight that inflation, which totally crushes the housing market and leads to job losses. And finally, Step 4. The permanent shift. People abandon gas cars for EVs forever. Desperate companies replace laid-off workers with AI and automation to keep costs down. The very structure of the economy changes permanently. And the truly heartbreaking part? The lowest-income Americans absorb the absolute hardest blows in all of this.
Section 5. How to protect yourself. Because the absolutely crucial point here is understanding what happens next, and more importantly, the specific steps you can take today to protect your own personal microeconomy.
So here are 4 actionable takeaways you can use to navigate this turbulence. Number 1, reduce your unnecessary debt right now. Credit card rates are near historic highs, and like we talked about, the Fed is trapped, so those rates aren't dropping anytime soon. Number 2, diversify your investments. AI stocks are kind of propping up everyone's 401ks right now, but market breadth is incredibly narrow. Number 3, keep your eyes glued to the May 8th jobs report. Economists are expecting only 50,000 jobs were added. If it comes in weaker than that, the markets are going to panic. And number 4, monitor the Strait of Hormuz. That tiny 21-mile channel is currently the single most important economic indicator on the entire planet.
Ultimately, working Americans are the ones footing the bill for a blockade halfway across the world. You're paying for it at the pump, at the grocery store, and in your interest rates. And honestly, the full pain hasn't even arrived yet. But I want to leave you with a really provocative question to chew on. In the midst of all this economic chaos and demand destruction, who is actually winning from this war economically? Somebody always does. The answer is going to completely surprise you, and it is exactly what we'll be breaking down in our next explainer. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.